I spent £800 on Montessori toys before my son was even born. Beautiful Montessori mobiles, the perfect floor bed, a pickler triangle, a gorgeous toy shelf, and then when my son was fussy and completely disinterested in the materials that I had spent hundreds on, I didn't know what I had done wrong. I'm a trained Montessori guide and a mom of two, and if I could go back to the baby stage, I wouldn't buy a single thing differently, but I would change 5 things that actually matter. And it has nothing to do with buying the right toys. So what would I actually change? No one hands you a manual when you become a mom. You just Google at 2 a.m., you scroll Instagram looking for answers, you buy things that promise to help your baby develop faster or play independently or hit milestones earlier. And then you start wondering, am I doing this right? Am I enough? Is my baby getting what they need? And here's what I've learned through 2 kids, Montessori training, and honestly, just a lot of trial and error. What babies actually need is way simpler than we think, and it has very little to do with having the perfect setup. So in this video, I'm walking you through 5 shifts. They're just small tweaks, but they make a massive difference. You already have everything you need. Now, quick disclaimer. I'm not saying I did everything wrong or that you're doing anything wrong. You're doing your best with what you know right now, and that's exactly what this video is for. To give you what I wish I had known back then. And the 5th shift is the one nobody talks about, but it's actually the foundation for everything else. If you get this one wrong, none of the other shifts work. So stick with me till the end because this one might surprise you. Okay, let's get into it. All right, the first shift. This one really surprised me because I thought I was doing everything right. So here's what this looked like for me. I was really intentional about floor time. I used a topponcino when my babies were tiny for that sense of security and familiarity. I had the beautiful Montessori mobiles hung at just the right height, and I rotated them at the perfect times. When he was awake, I'd make sure he was lying under the mobile or he was on his movement mat. It was all very Montessori. And I genuinely thought this is what he needs. Age-appropriate materials, a prepared environment, visual stimulation that matches his developmental age. And here's what happened. My son is lying on the floor and I can feel this anxiety rising in my chest. He's 3 months old, just lying there on his mat with no mobile above him, no toys nearby, nothing. And I'm thinking, is this okay? Should I be doing something? My mom is staying with us at the time, helping out during those first few months, and we're sitting on the chair with our chai, just chatting about nothing particularly important. But I keep glancing over at him because he's just lying there. And I'm starting to think, should I move him, put him under the mobile? Should I grab a toy, maybe the black and white card, something? Because this is what I do, right? I provide the materials, I create the environment. That's my job as a Montessori mom. But my mom keeps talking and I don't want to interrupt her mid-sentence. So I just keep glancing at him. And that's when I start to notice he's not fussing. He's not crying. He's just completely still, but has this really focused look. Like his eyes are tracking us as we talk. He's following the sound of our voices. And when my mom laughs, his head turns slightly towards her. He's listening. Not to a mobile or a toy, but to us, to the rhythm of our conversation, the rise and the fall of our voices. And then I noticed there's a throw on the sofa. It was a blue one with long tassels hanging off the edge. And somehow, I don't even know how he's done this. He's only 3 months old, but he's inched himself closer across the mat and his tiny fingers are stretching and reaching for one of the tassels. And then he grasps it and starts trying to bring it towards his face, feeling the textures and his fingers opening and closing around it. And he's just completely absorbed. And I'm sitting there, chai in my hand, listening to my mom, but also watching him because we haven't done anything for him. We haven't set up an activity. We haven't offered him a single material, but he's learning anyway. From the sound of our voices, from the light in our room, from that throw that he somehow discovered on his own, he's absorbing everything. And I realized that I was so focused on providing all of the right things that I forgot that babies don't need us to do anything. They just need us to let them be, and they're going to learn everything in their environment anyway. So why does this actually matter? When we're constantly directing our baby's attention, look at this, touch this, look at this mobile, we can accidentally interrupt their natural focus. We end up overriding what they might already be interested in or focused on. Because babies are learning all of the time, from conversations they overhear, from watching light move across the ceiling, from feeling the texture of a blanket, from observing our faces as we talk. They don't always need us to provide the input. Sometimes they need us to just step back and let them notice what is already there. Dr. Magda Gerber, who founded the RIE approach, talked about this. She said babies need uninterrupted time to explore and learn. Not unattended, but uninterrupted. There's a difference. We're present, we're nearby, but we're not constantly engaging or stimulating them. And when we give babies that space to just be, they actually develop longer attention spans. They learn to focus deeply on one thing, and they start to build confidence that they can explore and discover without needing us to direct every single moment. And that's going to end up being a child who doesn't keep saying to you, "I'm bored," every 5 seconds. So here's what I do differently on hindsight and what you can try. First, set up a safe, comfortable floor space. It doesn't need to be fancy, just a soft mat, maybe a topponcino for tiny babies, somewhere where your baby can stretch out fully, move freely, and just be. Second, let them be a part of everyday life. You don't always need to do something with them. If you're folding laundry, let them lie nearby and watch. If you're chatting with a friend, let them listen. If you're reading a book, they can be beside you, taking in the quiet time. Third, this is the hardest part. Resist the urge to constantly engage or stimulate them. If they're lying there quietly, observing, focused on looking at something, don't interrupt. Don't feel like you need to show them a toy or redirect their attention. Just let them explore whatever may have caught their interest. Sometimes the best thing we can offer isn't a perfectly curated material or activity. It's just the freedom to notice and take in what's already around them. Shift 2, from the shelf to the child. So here's what I was doing. I was following this Montessori blogger religiously at the time, and I mean religiously. She had a child who was almost the same age as my son, and everything she'd do with her kid, I'd find a way to do the same thing. One day she posted this photo of the most beautiful toy shelf that she had set up for her child. It had soft, colorful balls, shiny balls, bean bags in different textures, these metallic interlocking rings that caught the light, and I thought, wow, that's gorgeous. That's exactly what my son needs. So without even thinking about it, I went on Amazon and I found almost exactly the same materials, or as close as I could get, and I set up the same shelf in our living room. It looked perfect. I felt so organized and so intentional, and I probably even posted about it on my Instagram at the time. And here's what happened. I'd see photos of her child inching towards that beautiful shelf, reaching for the balls, exploring everything. And then I'd look at my son lying on the floor with that exact same shelf right there in front of him, and he'd barely glance at it. And I'd think, what am I doing wrong? I've got the right materials for his age. I set it up exactly how she did. Why isn't this working? And this goes on for maybe a week or two. I keep trying to gently encourage him towards the shelf, placing him near it, thinking maybe he just hasn't noticed it properly. But nothing. He's not interested. So one day I decide, okay, let me actually just step back and observe, because everyone in Montessori says observe the child. But I never really understood what that meant. Like, observe what? For how long? What am I even looking for? But I decide to try it. I set up a time lapse on my phone. I prop it up on the shelf across the room so I can watch the footage back later. And then I position myself close enough that he's safe, but far enough back that he can't see me and I won't be tempted to interrupt or engage him. And then I just let him be for about 15 minutes. And when I sit down later that evening to watch that time lapse back, I'm expecting to see, I don't know, maybe him reaching for something, looking bored, or fussing because I'm not there engaging with him. But that's not what I see at all. The entire 15 minutes, and I mean almost all of it, he's working on rolling over. He's already figured out how to get onto his side. He can do that bit, but what he's trying to master is the full roll from his back all the way onto his tummy. And the problem is his arm keeps getting stuck underneath him. So he'd get halfway there, arm trapped, and then he'd have to wriggle back and try again. Over and over. He kept doing this for 15 minutes. And then right near the end of the video, he does it. He gets onto his side, and instead of getting stuck, he manages to pull out his arm free and roll all the way over onto his tummy. And when he lands, he just lies there for a second, looks around, and then lifts his head up, and he has this look of like pure satisfaction, like, I did it. I figured that out. And I'm sitting here watching this video with tears in my eyes because I realized if I hadn't stepped back and just observed, I would have completely missed this. I would have kept trying to get him interested in the shelf, kept thinking I was doing something wrong, maybe rotated the activities on the shelf, when really, what he needed more than any of those materials was uninterrupted floor time to work on what he was actually ready for. It's not what some blogger said was age appropriate, it's what he needed right now. So why does this actually matter? Montessori starts with the child, not the shelf. Dr. Maria Montessori said it herself, follow the child. But we can't follow them if we're not watching them. When we observe first, we can offer exactly what they're ready for, what they need. Not what the Instagram post said they should be doing at 6 months or 9 months. Not what the developmental milestone chart says. What your baby is actually working on right now in this moment. And the thing is, sometimes what they're working on isn't even a toy. Sometimes it's a gross motor skill, like rolling. Sometimes it's observing the light on the wall, or the sound of a zipper, the texture of your cardigan. And that's okay, that's actually perfect, because that's what they need right now. On hindsight, here's what I'd do differently and what you can try. First, just watch your baby for 5 to 10 minutes without interrupting. Put your phone in another room, or if you're using it to record like I did, just set your phone up and then step back. Sit on the floor or on a couch nearby and just observe and ask yourself, what are they focused on? Are they reaching for things? Are they putting things in their mouth? Are they trying to roll? Are they trying to push up? Are they just staring at something? What is capturing their attention right now? And then, this is key, offer one thing that matches that interest. Not 5 toys, just one. If they're working on grasping, offer them something easy they can hold, like a ball maybe. If they're putting everything in their mouth, then offer them something safe to chew, preferably a natural material. If they're fascinated by movement, give them maybe a scarf that they can wave or a ball that they can roll. The goal is not to entertain them, it's to support what their inner child or their inner self is guiding them to do. And if they ignore your offer and they don't like what you've offered, that's okay. It just means that maybe they're working on someone else. Watch for a bit longer and try again. Or maybe they'll come to it in a week. They're not ready for it right now, but next week they might be. Montessori isn't about perfect toy shelves. It's about seeing your child clearly and meeting them exactly where they are. The next shift is going to be quite tricky because it will go against every instinct you have as a mom. So here's what I used to do. The second my daughter would start crying, I'd go into fix-it mode. I'd bounce her, I'd shush her, I'd offer her the dummy, I'd try a different position, I'd turn on the white noise, I'd sing a song, anything to make the crying stop as fast as possible. And I genuinely thought that was my job. Like, good moms don't let their babies cry. Good moms soothe them immediately. If she's crying, I must be doing something wrong. And then here's what happened. My daughter's about 9 months old, and every single time I leave the room, even if it's just to grab laundry or to put the kettle on, she starts crying. And I mean immediately. The second I'm out of sight, the crying starts. And I panic every time. I drop whatever I'm doing and I rush back in and I go, I'm here, it's okay. And then the crying stops immediately. And then relief floods through me. I'm like, okay, crisis averted. Except it's not averted because the next time I leave the room, she cries again and I rush back again. And we're completely stuck in this loop where I feel like I can never leave her sight without her falling apart. So one day I need to get her water cup from the kitchen, and the second I leave the room, the crying starts. It's loud, it's immediate, and I feel this familiar panic rising in my chest. And I feel this urgent need to run back to her. But then I stop in the doorway between the living room and the kitchen, and I just take a breath. And instead of rushing back, I call out from the kitchen, I hear you, darling. I'm just getting your water. I'll be right back. She continues crying, but I don't rush. I walk to the counter. I pick up the water cup. I fill it up, and I walk back and give it to her calmly. When I come back into the room, she's still crying. Every part of me wants to scoop her, bounce her, make it stop. But I don't. I just sit next to her on the floor, and I don't even pick her up immediately. I just sit there and say, oh, you didn't like it when I left. I can see that that upset you. You're safe, I'm right here. And then I just waited. My hand is on her back. I'm soothing her. I'm right there, but I'm not trying to make the crying stop. It takes maybe 2 minutes. She cries, looks at me, cries a bit more, and then she crawls into my lap, and then the crying slowly dies down into sniffles, and then finally she's just calm and settled. And what I noticed over the next few weeks was that it didn't magically just go away. She was still going through separation anxiety like most babies do at that age. But the meltdowns became shorter, less intense. She'd still fuss when I left, but she could settle herself more quickly. And gradually over time, she started to trust that when I left, I'd always come back. So what was actually happening here? When I rushed back in a panic every time that she cried, I was accidentally teaching her that crying equals an emergency, that being upset means something's wrong and mom needs to fix it immediately. But when I stayed calm and just held space for her feelings, like you're upset and that's okay, I'm here, she learned something completely different. She learned that she can feel upset and still be safe, that mom doesn't need to fix her, that she can get through this. Why this matters so much is that babies don't cry to manipulate you. They cry to communicate. They cry when they're tired, when they're overwhelmed, when they're frustrated, when they're processing something big. And our job isn't always to stop the crying. Sometimes our job is just to be there with them while they cry. And when we do that, we validate their feelings instead of rushing to fix them. We're teaching them that their emotions are safe, that they can feel big things and still survive them. And that builds the foundation for emotional regulation later on. So here's what to try instead. First, pause before you react. I know that's really hard because every part of you wants to make the crying stop. But take a breath, ask yourself, is my baby in danger or are they just upset? If they're safe, if they're fed, clean, and not hurt, then what they need isn't a fix. They probably just need your presence. Second, acknowledge their emotion out loud. You sound upset, I'm here. Or you're having a hard time right now, I see you. This may feel very counterintuitive, especially when you say it to a baby who you think doesn't understand, but they're learning everything. You're not dismissing their feelings. You're not saying don't cry or you're okay, because clearly they're not okay. They're crying. You're just letting them know I see you and I'm with you. And you'll be surprised how much even a few-month-old baby picks up from that. Third, hold space without immediately needing to cheer them up. Sit beside them, put your hand on their back, hold them if they want to be held, but resist the urge to bounce, distract, or shush them up. Just be there and let the emotion move through them. It feels so counterintuitive at first, but I promise the more you do it, the more you'll see that your baby doesn't need you to fix every feeling for them. They just need to know you're there while they feel it. Now here's what connects these first 3 shifts. Observing instead of engaging, watching instead of curating, holding space instead of fixing. They're all really about the same thing. Trusting your baby more and doing less. But there's still something missing. Alright, this one I'm a little bit embarrassed to admit, but I think a lot of first-time moms can probably relate. So here's what I was doing. I had the Montessori set up at home, the low shelves, the carefully chosen materials, the prepared environment, but I also thought he needs more than just being at home. He needs experiences, opportunities, stimulation. So I signed us up for everything. Baby sensory class on Monday mornings, music class on Wednesday afternoons, mom and baby swimming on Fridays, and in between I take him to the library for baby story time or to soft play or just out and about because I thought this is what good moms do. They give their babies every opportunity in the world. I was a first-time mom and I genuinely thought I was giving him a head start. I was setting him up for success. I was making sure he didn't miss out on anything. And here's what happened. It's a midweek morning and I wake up feeling absolutely awful, like properly under the weather. My whole body aches, my head is pounding, and I just know there's no way I can drag myself to baby sensory class today. So I cancel everything for the day. The class, the plans that I had made to meet a friend at the park, all of it. And honestly, a part of me feels guilty, like I'm letting him down, like I'm not doing enough. But I don't have a choice, I'm barely functioning. So I set him up on the floor with what's already on his shelves, and I just sit on the sofa with a cup of tea. I don't have the energy to narrate everything or try to engage him. He's playing nearby and I'm just sitting there. And I'm expecting him to be fussy, to need me, to be bored because we're not doing anything. But he's not fussy, he's quiet, he's focused. He picks up one of the fabric balls from the shelf, this soft rainbow colored one, and he just sits there examining it, turning it over in his hands, squeezing it, bringing it to his face. This goes on for maybe 10 minutes with just that one ball. Then he drops it and then he notices the way that it rolls slightly across the floor. So he picks it up and he drops it again, and he watches it roll each time. And I'm just sitting there on the sofa, half watching him, half zoning out because I feel so rough. But I start to notice he's not asking for my attention. He's not looking at me for validation or for guidance. He's completely absorbed in what he's doing. Later that afternoon, I put him down for a nap, expecting the usual fight. He's been a terrible napper for weeks. only sleeping for 20 or 30 minutes at a time. But he goes down easily and he sleeps for 2 hours. 2 hours! When he wakes up, he's calm, he's happy. And that awake window that he has that afternoon is the longest, most peaceful one that we've had in ages. He's not fussy, he's not overstimulated, he's just content. And I realize I've been exhausting him with all of those classes, all of those activities, all of that stimulation. I thought I was giving him opportunities, but really I was just overwhelming him. He didn't need more, he actually needed less. So why does this matter? Babies don't actually need constant stimulation, and too much input is overwhelming for them. It makes it harder for them to focus, harder for them to settle, harder for them to just exist without needing something happening all of the time. What babies really crave, especially in that first year, is just space. Space to notice things, to repeat things over and over, to wonder about the world around them. They need stillness and quiet and routine. Not all of the time, but they need it more than you think. They need the chance to sit down with one object for 10 minutes and really explore it instead of being shuffled from one activity to the next. And when you give them that space, they actually start to build longer attention spans. They learn how to focus deeply, and they develop this confidence that they can figure things out on their own without you having to direct every single moment of their day. So here's what you can try. First, turn off background noise. No TV in the background, no music unless you're intentionally listening together, no constant narration. Just let there be silence. I know it feels weird at first, because we're so used to filling every moment with sound or activity, but babies need quiet time to process. They need space to hear their own thoughts, to notice subtle sounds, the hum of the fridge, birds outside, their own breathing. Second, you don't need to sign up for everything. 1 or 2 activities a week is more than enough. Some weeks, nothing is okay too. Your baby doesn't need to be constantly entertained or stimulated. They need downtime just as much as you do. Third, when you're at home, resist the urge to constantly engage. If they're sitting there quietly observing, focused on something, don't interrupt, don't feel like you need to show them a new toy or start a new activity. Just let them explore whatever has caught their interest. Because some of the richest learning actually happens in those simple, quiet moments that look like nothing, when we're not trying so hard and we're just letting our babies be. Now, the first 4 shifts that I've mentioned are important, but it took me way too long to realize that there's one thing that actually matters more than all of them combined. So here's what I need to tell you. You can have the perfect Montessori setup, the most beautiful shelves, the most thoughtfully chosen materials, all the knowledge about observation and following the child. But if you're running on empty, none of it works. Because the most important thing to prepare isn't the environment, it's actually yourself. So picture this. It's been one of those nights. My son woke up 3 times, and the 3rd time at 4:30 a.m., he just refused to go back to sleep. I tried everything, feeding, rocking, walking around with him, singing to him, but he was wide awake. So we're up at 4:30 in the morning. By the time the morning actually comes, I'm barely functioning. I'm loading up on caffeine just to try to make it to his first nap. And that's all I'm thinking about. Just get him to the first nap and then I can rest too. Finally, after what feels like forever, I managed to get him down. I rock him, he settled. I put him down on his floor bed, and I'm so relieved. I tiptoe out of the room and I start tidying things up quickly. Just enough that I can lie down without feeling guilty about all of the mess around me. I'm about to lie down on the sofa when I hear it, crying. I look at my phone. It's been 15 minutes. 15 minutes, and I honestly lose it. I walk into his room and I start shouting at my baby. I'm shouting at a baby who can't help that he woke up. He doesn't understand why I'm upset. And I know even as I'm doing it that it's not helping. Shouting at him is not going to make him sleep. It's not going to make me feel better. But I can't stop myself because I'm just so exhausted. And then after I shout at him, I feel this overwhelming guilt. Like, what kind of mother shouts at her baby? What is wrong with me? I'm standing there, he's crying louder, and I realize I can't do this. I physically cannot do this. My body cannot function right now. That day, luckily, my husband was in town. He got home early and I just handed the baby over. I didn't explain, I didn't wait, I just said I need to sleep, and I went to our room and I collapsed. I slept for 1 hour. That's it, just 1 hour. But when I woke up, everything was different. I came out and my son was playing on the floor. My husband was sitting nearby, and I felt calm and refreshed, like I could actually be there for my baby in a real way, not just survive the day. Why does this matter? We talk so much in Montessori about the prepared environment, the low shelves, the carefully chosen materials, the calm space, but there's something that matters even more than all of that: the prepared adult. If you're exhausted, overstimulated, running on no sleep, feeling frustrated and alone, none of the other stuff works. You can't observe your child when you're barely keeping your eyes open. You can't respond calmly when you're at your breaking point. You can't create a peaceful environment when you're falling apart inside. You're not trying to be perfect, but you're trying to be regulated enough to be present. And sometimes that means putting your baby somewhere safe and stepping away for a few minutes to catch your breath. Sometimes it means asking for help. Sometimes it might mean letting the dishes sit in the sink so you can take a nap while the baby naps, even if it's just for 15 minutes. Your kids don't need you to do Montessori perfectly. They don't need the perfect setup or the perfect routine. They need you to be okay most of all. They need you to be calm enough to respond to them, present enough to see them. They need you to be happy, not perfect. So here's what to try. First, check in with yourself before you check in with your baby. When you wake up in the morning, or before you sit down to observe your child or give them milk or whatever, when you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, pause and ask yourself, how am I actually doing right now? Am I hungry? Am I exhausted? Am I touched out? You can't be present for your baby if you don't know what you need. Second, it's okay to step away. If you feel yourself losing it, put your baby somewhere safe, maybe in their cot, a playpen, or a safe floor space, and step in another room. Take 5 minutes, breathe, cry if you need to, eat something, splash water on your face. Whatever you need to do to regulate. Your baby will be okay for 5 minutes in a safe space. And you coming back calm is better than staying there and losing it. Third, ask for help when you need it. Whether that's a family member, your partner, a friend, or even just posting in a mom group to vent. You don't have to do this alone. And needing help doesn't make you a bad or inadequate mom. It just makes you human. The prepared adult is the foundation everything else is built on. If you're not okay, nothing works. So take care of yourself, because that's what makes everything else possible. If you took anything away from this video, I hope it's this. Montessori isn't about recreating Pinterest perfect shelves or buying specific toys. It's not a curriculum you follow. It's actually a way of seeing your child. It's about trusting that your baby is capable, observing before you intervene, respecting their focus instead of interrupting it, and showing up for them even when, especially when, you're not perfect. Remember how I said I spent 800 pounds on Montessori toys before my son was even born? Here's what I wish I'd spent that money on instead. Honestly, nothing. Or maybe a good meal delivery service for those first few months so I could actually rest. Because it turns out babies don't need expensive materials. They need you. And they need you present, calm, and regulated. So if you're sitting here thinking you need to go buy more things or set everything up differently, you don't. Just pick one shift from this video. Maybe that's stepping back and observing them for 10 minutes. Maybe it's turning off the background noise. Or maybe it's just checking in with yourself before you check in with your baby. Drop a comment and let me know, which shift are you going to try this week? I'd love to hear what resonated with you. And if you need more support with Montessori for babies, I've put together a free infographic, the 5 changes I would make. It's in the description, and it's simple, practical, and has no fluff. Now, if you're wondering what these principles actually look like in everyday life as your child grows, without the perfect setup, without the endless shelf rotations, I've got you covered. Click here to see exactly how I weave Montessori into real chaotic mom life. No perfection required.